The defense is continuing to give its case on why the murderer of Athena Strand should not be put to death. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. And you wait till you hear what his mom said, the murderer's mom said, about whether she thinks he did more, perhaps sexually assault Athena, which I've already told you unequivocally that, excuse me, I believe he has. Great news. Not so surprising, but great news. Families in big districts like Dallas, Houston, San Antonio are fleeing their school districts when they're getting the first round of TIFAs, the educational freedom accounts where you can go to the school you want to go to. We also have noise ordinances downtown Fort Worth. I cannot wait to talk to you about this. My left eye contact is a pain in the butt tonight. And the TEA has released their investigation of anti-Semitism on Plano ISD. All that is coming up in just a few moments. But first, this show is brought to you by IRSprob.com. That's IRSprob.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategy. Randy Martin's been my CPA and tax planner for over 9 years, almost 10 years. Use them. Stylish hat. I have some of the folks over in Wiley ISD, some of the kids who are sharing all the stuff about the Islamification of their school district. Some of them have requested one of my IRSprob.com shirts. Size XL, please. I'll talk to Randy next time I talk to him. The Tanner Horner capital murder case, what they're doing right now, as I told you last week, the death penalty phase trial for the prosecution's case, which they went first, they wrapped up. Wise County prosecutors in Fort Worth and Tarrant County to get a jury change of venue because the defense thought Wise County would be too biased because it happened in Wise County. But so the death penalty case prosecution started. During that time is when they played for the first time the video and audio from inside and outside of the camera of the FedEx van that the murderer of Athena Strand, and I believe, and it seems to, all the proof seems to go to rapist of Athena Strand. The jury and the people in the courtroom were instructed by the judge on Thursday, I believe it was. They were instructed, we're about to play this video and audio, and the judge cut the live stream. And the judge says, if you don't want to hear the audio of this little girl being murdered, and I believe raped, then you need to go now. Get out now. And they did. The family of Athena Strand got out for obvious reasons. The jury sobbed when they heard the audio. The picking her up outside of the van and putting her in, she's saying, what are you doing? You're kidnapping me. Then, what are you doing? My mom says this is wrong. You can't do this to me. He then tells her to take off her shirt. Then he, at some point, then tries to choke her or kill her. You can hear the gurgling. She says, by the way, when he tells her to take off her shirt, she says, this is wrong. My mom tells me this is wrong. My mom tells me you can't do this. Remember, the prosecutors told the jury, you're about to see what a 250-pound man can do to a 76-pound 7-year-old girl. He then drove around. She wasn't dead. She was harder to kill than he thought she would be. He then drove around and was singing Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree. It was November 30th, roughly, when this was going on. He, of course, had just delivered her Barbie presents that she wanted for Christmas. I will remind you, too, that the nearby family in rural Wise County had twin girls. He, from what the Texas Ranger testified in trial, seemed to be scoping them out, too. He was looking for a little girl to kidnap and, I believe, sexually assault and then kill. He repeatedly, after his first attempt to kill her, then killed her, tried to choke her again, and then she had contusions on her head. It was a repeated attempt to murder her. This little girl suffered over and over and over again from this sick man. They found DNA on his his hoodie and some other of his clothes. They found some on her clothes. But the Texas State Crime Lab said, we do not definitively rule that it was his DNA on her, but we do definitively rule that we cannot rule him out. That's what they do overall, too. They said, we don't say that somebody is definitively a suspect. We only rule them out, and he cannot be ruled out, is what they said. So, he blamed his alter ego Zero, to which even his own defense attorneys have said it's BS. He is not bipolar. He does not have multiple personality disorder. That is not the case. They say he's on the autism spectrum, that he has Asperger's. They say that he has ADHD, which I have ADHD. It's a quality that makes many of us good, if we can harness it. His mom came today and testified. Now, as I was mentioning now, so the prosecution rested their death penalty case. The defense now is doing their case. They laid out some witnesses yesterday, and they're laying out some witnesses tomorrow. Tom Selleck is online saying, hey, how you doing? How are you? All your comments I share and read. It's Tom Selleck. I don't know if it's actually Tom Selleck, not the Tom Selleck. Anyways, how are you? The mother came and testified, as well as his, I think, great aunt, trying to spare his life. But listen what his own mom says. His own mom says, without saying it directly, that she believes he sexually assaulted her. They said he was bullied at school, his mom said. He was bullied by his grandfather. And I'm giving you this because this is what they're trying to do to convince you that he doesn't deserve to die. And I've been telling you why he deserves to die, why he needs to die, and I'll go over that again in a moment when I finish today's testimony, just giving some a review. Horner was bullied at school, the mom said. He would hit himself in the head. My son, out of frustration with his ADHD, hits himself in the head from time to time. He's not a killer. We correct him when he's done it, when he's growing up, and we correct him firmly. But my son is not a killer, nor a rapist, nor an abductor. He and his baby mama were living in a shed behind the house where his mom and grandmother lived. Of course, I love my son. I don't love who did that, though. I don't know who that was. Yes, you do. That was your son. I can't stand it when people come out and say, well, that wasn't me, when they get caught in something. That was freaking you. Deal with the consequences. Asked whether she believes about what the killer did to Athena. What did she do when he was asked? What she believes now. Remember, she had a conversation with him asking if you did any funny stuff, meaning did you sexually assault her? She said she had watched the court live stream. She's not supposed to watch the live stream as a witness. She violated the judge's order. She admits that in here. She said she had watched the court's live stream, and don't get me thrown in jail for watching the quote-unquote, don't get me thrown in jail for watching the trial prior to the testimony, which is against the judge's order. After seeing the evidence against her son, remember, the semen, the DNA, she testified, I don't know what to say. She began crying and apologized to Athena's family, saying, I'm so sorry. That's her knowing and indirectly admitting her son raped Athena. This is a death penalty case, and it needs to be a death penalty case. I will tell you why in a few. Marcos Lopez chiming in. My condolences and prayers to her and her family. I would ask you guys to pray for this. I ask you to pray for the death penalty in this case. And in a few moments when I'm done with today's testimony, I will tell you why. Again, the defense right now is doing everything it can to not get the death penalty. That's all they're doing right now. On the first day of trial, he pleaded guilty. The killer's mother testified that she was sexually abused. I told you the reason why people do sick things like this is because they were abused, but it is never an excuse. I told you that Gateway Church's former pastor, disgraced former pastor, rapist Robert Morris, raped that little girl who's now a woman, and she's not molesting people. And the same thing happens to men who get help and seek help. It is not an excuse. But most people, if not all of them, that do sick things like this have been molested themselves. The mother testified she was sexually abused by her first stepfather beginning when she was 4, went to rehab at 14 for pot. She began working as a stripper when she was 17, drank alcohol heavily, used drugs, meth, heroin, everything I can get my hands on. His father, the killer's father, who's now deceased, raped her on the first night they met. She was 17, he was 29. She said that when the killer was a child, he found her after an overdose and thought she was dead during the childhood. She was arrested on drug and prostitution charges and went to prison. It's a sad life, but it doesn't excuse an abduction, rape, and killing. Now, they had a guy, this is pretty much the last piece, they had a guy testify today. And he admits that under cross-examination, he only testifies for defense. He is an A&M professor and a professor of psychology, and he says that they studied 155 Texas capital murder cases in which an expert testified that the defendant would be a continuing threat. Over a 10-year period, they tracked those 155 people that were allegedly going to be a continuing threat. And over those 10-year period, 8 of those prisoners, or 5%, were disciplined for severe acts of violence, meaning none of them commit murders, and in other words, even though they're ruled as dangerous, they don't do anything, meaning you shouldn't put him to death because he's not going to do anything else again. I don't care if he's going to do anything else again. Our woke DA, who's on outgoing woke DA, our Soros DA, let him go Crusoe, when he refused to put to death Billy Chamirmir, a multiple, as many as 21 or 24 people that he killed, elderly women he killed. Let him go Crusoe lied and said, I can't go over and investigate him because he's from Uganda. I can't travel over to Uganda and Africa. Oh, there's COVID. Oh, he's been a model prisoner in Dallas jail. Dallas County Jail. That means nothing. So this guy says he admitted he didn't conduct a psychological evaluation on this killer, and he's not offering an opinion on whether this killer presents a risk of future violence. Now, here's what very important to tell you this. This is what the Star Telegram said, the very, very leftist Star Telegram. Future dangerousness, they say, is a key question in death penalty cases in Texas, according to state law. If jurors find in their deliberations that the killer is likely to present a continuing threat to society, then they will consider the question of whether there is mitigating evidence that would justify a sentence of life in prison instead of death. Mitigating evidence is open to interpretation. Now, let me just say this. They brought up stuff about recidivism, likelihood to reoffend. They brought up stuff about whether he's going to be a threat inside a prison. They brought up stuff about what's quicker, death penalty, and overall in general, what's costly, what's quicker. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is very important. The death penalty is not for revenge. The death penalty is not for recidivism. The death penalty is not for expedience. It's less expedience. The death penalty is not for cost. It is more costly. The death penalty is for one thing and one thing only. It is not a deterrent. The death penalty is because it is the proper punishment put in place by the people of the state of Texas. This is a capital punishment case which begets a possible death sentence. We, the sober people, the people on the jury, the people not involved, not emotionally involved, not in the case, not affected by the case directly, we are the sober people who voted and put this into law. We are the sober people, not literally, but we, the people, are going to be in that jury, and we will decide. And the right punishment is death. And the reason why the right punishment is death is because it is the exact prescription that God gives in Romans 13:1. God, if you obey the laws of the land, and this applies to illegals, for example, too, if you obey the laws of the land, which is why the Catholic Church is wrong in its teachings, if you obey the laws of the land, you have nothing to fear. But if you disobey the laws of the land, you have every reason to fear, because God installed the government and gave the government the sword for a reason, to cut I'm adding this part, to cut people's heads off, like this guy. This is a proper and just and sober punishment. Even if you're not a believer, it doesn't matter. It is a proper and just punishment. That's what he deserves. This man, and my ask for you for the prayers, took me a long time to get around to it, Marcos. This man, I ask you to pray that this man be put in the ground. Not out of revenge, not out of hatred, not out of an eye for an eye. That's Old Testament, doesn't apply. But out of proper punishment for the offense. That's it. Pray that they put him in the ground. Oh, coming up in just a moment, this is going to be so good. The families fleeing big school districts driving school choice demand. Texas scorecard today. But first, this show is brought to you by IRSprob.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Randy has been my CPA for over 9 years. I've endorsed him for over 9 years. We've partnered for that long. We're friends. We were in the same Sunday school class. There he is at UT Austin, teaching the kids and speaking to the kids, where he graduated from, the best accountancy school in the state of Texas. Randy and I met at First Baptist Dallas about 12 years ago in our Sunday school class. And he and his wife, Norma, and we've been good friends ever since. And one day he called me up and he said, Chris, I'd like you to partner with me and endorse me. I said, yes. And so that's how long he's been my CPA, and that's how good he is. If you have IRS problems, if you need a tax planner, give him a call. Go to IRSprob.com, like he says, IRSprob.com, or call 214-214-3000. Also, I am like a little kid that's giddy when I tell you that I get to tell you about Due West Foundation and Plumbing. If you know Jim Dutton, he's the host of Texas Home Improvement on radio stations across Texas, in Dallas, in Houston, on Austin as well, I think in San Antonio. But Jim's dad started a foundation and plumbing business in the 70s, and it is now a third-generation family. Jim still runs Due West with his two boys, Adam and Johan. I am friends with them all. My wife worked there for 3 years, and they've done every piece of plumbing, everything. Before I even bought this house, they checked the foundation, they checked the static test on the plumbing, they've replaced the plumbing underneath my house, the water heater, they've done root shields to protect roots from going under my house, they do concrete leveling, retention walls, grading, they graded my yard, and everything plumbing and foundation. Don't ever use a separate foundation company from a plumbing company. They will always blame each other. Use Due West. You now have a company. Call the best, Due West, du-west.com. That's du-west.com, or call 972-406-0912, 972-406-0912. And with both Randy and Due West, IRSprob.com and Due West, tell them I sent you. Okay, let me just start out with this. The fact that we have these TIFA accounts, Texas Educational Freedom Accounts, this is a civil rights issue. This is the modern day civil rights issue of our time. I'll never forget when I first started doing talk shows in 2000. And I saw a network news story about parents and children in, I think it was Cleveland or Cincinnati, one of the two, and they were black. And it was like they were sitting there and they were waiting to find out if they would be picked in the draft to go to a charter school or, get the school choice. And when one of the mothers was called, I'll never forget, it was like a son being picked for the NFL draft. She bawled and she cried tears of joy. And that's the first moment when I knew this was a civil rights issue. And so it is fantastic to hear that thousands are fleeing, seeking to leave, according to Texas Scorecard today, or supplement their local campuses through state's new school choice program. And where are they fleeing the most? The mega large school district, Dallas ISD, Houston ISD, Cy-Fair in Houston as well. In Bexar County, they're fleeing. Northside ISD is what it's called in San Antonio. Fort Worth ISD, all of them, and so many more. The biggest districts are losing tons of people because they are sick of being chained to failing schools. The acting comptroller, Kelly Hancock, says more than 42,600 students are going to receive award notices. 43,000. I am so happy. I'm so happy that you get to pick those up. And I'm going to tell you something else that you'll find out shortly. I want to tell you something else. We homeschooled our son and daughter, and he graduated with a 4.0 summa cum laude, the highest you can get, and is fluent in Japanese. And she is going for her last 2 years at one of our universities here in North Texas as well. He graduated from UTD, and he studied abroad in Japan. We sacrificed a lot for the 15 years that my wife stayed home. But we did it because we wanted the best for our children. And we offered them in middle school and high school. Every time we approached each school, we're like, if you guys want, would you like a tour to go check out the school? We were like, if you really want to go, we're cool with that. They didn't even go to the tours. But we wanted them to check it out. I'm like, I don't want to hold you if you don't want to. And I had them tested every year on what was the best test in the country, the California Standardized Test from 1978, I believe it is, when they used to do real tests. So that's how I knew every year that we were doing at or above, and they did exceedingly above with not with math, they were average, but with the arts, language, reading, comprehension, etc. Okay, but this gives homeschool parents $2,000 a year per student. I'm telling you, we could have used this because that's about what it costs. It is, but I'm not mad. My wife's pissed, but I'm not mad because it's about time this happened. So what I'm so happy to say is that almost 43,000 students are going to get award notices in the first round, and these folks, according to the Texas scorecard, it's most concentrated, the demand, in the biggest districts. Houston ISD, 1,600 students. DISD, 1,300 students. Northside and San Antonio, 1,100. Fort Worth ISD, 800. The numbers suggest even Texas' largest public school systems, thousands of families, many with special needs students, are actively seeking alternatives. And the lie from the left is that special needs students are going to be screwed. That is a lie. They get more money and they get first choice. Low and middle income students with disabilities are the first priority. Civil rights. 63% of applicants are students with qualifying disabilities. 37% are siblings with a disability, I would assume. A sibling that is a sibling to somebody with a disability. 74% are expected to enroll in private schools because they work better. 26% they're not captivated by leftist unions and graft and DEI and LGBTQ worship and BLM worship and Marxism and communism. 26% selected homeschool. So there you go. God bless you both. 51% are at or below 200% of the federal poverty level. So more than half are at or below 200% of the federal poverty level, and 49% are between 200 and 500% of the federal poverty level. That's the first choice. So there we go, first and second choices. I'm very happy for you. Congratulations before you get the notices. And a whole bunch more will be coming out. That's just the first round. Fort Worth ISD is, speaking of people fleeing Fort Worth ISD for scholarships or TIFAs, as I said, 808 have fled as of now that are getting the awards. Fort Worth ISD is announcing, now they've been taken over by the state, they're announcing a 5% raise for classroom teachers. And I'm going to tell you something. I've said this for years, that a raise does not mean you're going to keep the teachers. A raise does not keep teachers. And I'll tell you why. I've never been a teacher. My wife's not a teacher. But I'll tell you why. Because being a teacher is a calling. Just like being a police officer is a calling. I remember years ago, in the middle of my radio career, when I had separated from my job in Atlanta, I considered being a police officer. I went through the academy, and I almost finished it up. And they were about to hire me. And I talked to my friend. I'm from a multi-generational law enforcement family, and I talked to my friend who's a St. Paul police officer when I used to do a talk show there. And he said, "Chris, are you sure about this? It's a calling." And that was my cue to say, "Yeah, you've been playing around. Don't do this. Take it seriously." So I stepped out. Police officers are a calling. Teachers are a calling. Teachers don't do it because of the money, and they never will. And if they do, we don't want them. They do it because it's a calling. Now, the ones who complain, the ones who are there with an agenda, we don't want them either. But I am not against a 5% raise, automatic 5% raise for the teachers. But here's proving what I'm saying is, I'm sure this is a leftist teacher quoted in the WFAA TV channel 8 today. There is no, all caps, amount of money. And I'll read the line before that. This is from the Star Telegram today. However, not every FWISD teacher is thrilled. Quote, and this is, I'm sure, a leftist, but she's still proving my point. There is no amount of money that would remotely, all caps for no and remotely, that would remotely cause me to even think about staying in Fort Worth ISD at this time, one anonymous teacher told WFA. That's right, because the leftists are being thrown out. And what I love, my favorite headline from the Star Telegram a week or two ago was parents, I'd say they're going to keep a close eye after this, as the school district is taken over. You're going to keep a close eye on it now that it's been taken over? Where were you to keep a close eye when the leftists, the unions, and the Barack Hussein Obama Academy and all the DEI and BLM and woke left worship and just poisoning turning kids into useful idiots and useful thugs that will graduate with a very little of an education. I think you have a 40% literacy rate in Fort Worth ISD, if I'm not mistaken. Graduating thugs that'll run the streets, shock troops for the left. So I love how they're like, we're going to be keeping an eye on it. Where the hell were you the past 10 years before it was taken over? We didn't keep an eye on it then, or did you like it then? You liked it when it was being driven into the ground, huh? Speaking of Fort Worth, I worked for 15 years in first when I came to do radio here in the afternoons. We were in Uptown by Reverchon Park, the Gayborhood as they call it. And then about 2 years into it, we moved to downtown. Some say it's uptown, but it's not. The police beat is actually downtown, so I should know because I'm friends with a lot of cops there. And right at the AAC. And one thing I saw all the time, whether it was coming in and out of the concerts that are happening there, not going to the concerts. I went to concerts, of course, but for my job, going there, every weekday for 13 years, was men with very loud mufflers, men with very loud car stereos, men with very loud trucks with very loud mufflers. And every time I see that, particularly there would be a crossing, Dallas police crossing lady, and she'd be, waving people on, and you'd hear this idiot with a small penis and a low IQ with it revving the engine, and you're like, oh my gosh. So I'd look at the lady as I'm crossing. I go, you know what that means, don't you? She goes, no. Like this. It means he's got a small wiener. So the louder the car, this is my theory. This is not my theory. This is my fact. The louder the car, the lower the IQ, the lower the sperm count, and the smaller the wiener. That is an absolute statistical fact as proven by me just now. If you didn't see the proof, you just missed it. Now comes Fort Worth downtown. Downtown Fort Worth Inc. is trying to focus on enforcement of noise rules in downtown, and I couldn't be happier to see this. Drivers playing loud music, revving their engines, and driving vehicles with modified exhaust systems. A city ordinance prohibits that. You can be fined as much as $500, but sometimes it'll be much lower depending on what the judge adjudicates it as. Downtown Fort Worth Inc. is now asking the court to levy more punitive fines when possible, and not let people cited for noise violations off with warnings. I could not agree more. Make these guys with the little wieners pay. Make them pay. In 2024, this is great that they included this in the Star Telegram story. This is actually really good. This is good. Watch this. In 2024, a psychology professor at the University of Western Ontario in Canada published a paper that showed drivers who modified their exhaust systems to be louder, this is so great, were more likely to have a psychopathic and sadistic tendencies. Of course, along with, and why? Micropenis. The argument is these individuals would enjoy making others miserable. That's funny. I think my theory is much more scientific and truthful than their theory. TEA, this is huge. Let me tell you this. I'm privileged to be connected with a group of Jewish community leaders and folks fighting against anti-Semitism in Plano ISD and in Plano. I will be having a parent on very soon. I'll also be having some of the attorneys on that are responsible for bringing a civil rights complaint to the TEA because of pervasive, permissive anti-Semitism in Plano ISD. And I don't need to be convinced. I saw, first of all, you have Epic Mosque, the purveyors of Epic City. You have, with Epic Mosque in Epic City, when I went to one of the hearings for Epic City that they ended up canceling, but I was there, and I drove around that neighborhood. I showed you pictures. That whole neighborhood is Islamicized. It's totally Islamicized. Every house in the entire community that I drove around, right there, I'm talking on the other side of the fence, and the other road on the other side was completely Islamic. Every house, and these are definitely $1 million homes or more. And I told you, I drove around and took pictures and showed you on my podcast and on social media the strip malls and such in the area, and they're all Islamicized. And if you recall, there was a retired Plano detective who said if you're in the Plano Police Departments, I believe it's their headquarters, and you look where the bomb units are, you can see I think it's the mosque owns a house, or it's the mosque's, what is he, the mufti? I don't know what he is. The guy, the lead. It'll come to me in a second. But the guy who's in charge, the preacher, who has a lot of ties to a lot of Islamist people, from everything I've seen. But he can overlook the bomb unit, and he said that is not a coincidence, in my opinion. This is a threat, etc., etc., etc. Well, you got to wonder how much of that is in the Plano ISD schools. I would bet a lot of it. You got to wonder, we saw the bombers that tried to kill 60 or 70 people at that anti-Islamist rally in front of Mondani's house in New York City. The two boys that were born and raised here from wealthy, well-off Islamic parents who came here, it appears, first generation. So you have the second generation. You have the children of people that moved here that are Islamic, that are wealthy, and their children are raised and becoming terrorists. So I am not surprised that you have Islamist, anti-Semitic, Jew-hating terrorist supporters in Plano ISD. I am not surprised. And what's going to be really important to me is in the coming days, I'm going to have on, as I said, a parent or two that are in that district to lay out, a Jewish parent that are going to lay out exactly how bad it's been and is. And then also the attorneys that filed this are going to come on. They have to wait until some stuff's finished up on the adjudication. But let me share with you a great piece tonight from Sidney Henry in Texas Scorecard tonight. TEA. Oh, and by the way, I knew as a talk host after October 7th, I knew there was an Islamist problem in Plano ISD when I saw the walkouts for the terrorists. Walking out of school in Plano ISD to celebrate the terrorists and Hamas and to attack the Jews in Israel. And I remember, and I will never forget, them chanting, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." And from the river to the sea means we are going to kill 8.9 million Jews that are in Israel. We're going to wipe them off, and we're going to take the West Bank and wipe out Israel and merge it with Gaza, which is not Palestine, and we're going to have it as one terrorist state run by Hamas, not the PLO. That's what from the river to the sea means. It means we're going to kill more than half the Jews that are on the planet. There's roughly 17 million Jews on this planet, and we're going to kill about 8.9 million of them. That was chanted openly at the rallies by tons of Islamists, terrorist lovers, and Jew haters. The TEA, they filed a complaint with the TEA, and I'm gonna lay out some of the anti-Semitism charges, including telling Jewish students during an anti-Semitic video they're playing, telling Jewish students, if you don't like it, leave. You can leave. Separate the Jew. Get him out of here. Get the Jew out of here. We're going to play pro-terrorism videos in a Plano ISD high school class. Now, the TEA, unfortunately, did not sustain the complaints of anti-Semitism. They ruled that they believe Plano ISD did do redress issues, did do retraining, and did call out stuff, and did, in fact, discipline at least one teacher. But I'm not buying this. And I'm going to bet you the parents, I know the parents and the attorneys are not buying this either, but let me share this with you. In 2005, TEA received multiple complaints from current and former Plano ISD parents, says Texas Scorecard, and a former trustee alleging anti-Semitic incidents, including classroom content, comments by teachers, student walkouts, bullying, and scheduling events on Jewish holidays. Pro-Hamas walkouts absolutely is what they are and what they were. Student harassment, calling Jewish students to go to the gas chambers, to go die in Israel. Concerns that some staff minimized and mishandled reports of anti-Semitism. Investigators found several instances with teachers giving supplemental materials that inaccurately depicted Israel or referred to Palestine in ways parents challenged, such as Jasper High School resource labeling the land in Mesopotamia area as Palestine. That is a lie. And a Clark High School quiz slide describing Palestinian as a group who wants to gain back the country they lost to Israel. That is a freaking lie. They did not lose a country to Israel. Israel was founded in, I believe it was 1948, and thank God there was an evangelical Christian inside of the White House to urge the president to sign on, I believe, with the UN, making Israel its own country. It was not taken from them. And there was no the only genocide is the Jews being killed and murdered on October 7th. The ceasefire was broken by Hamas, the terrorists who are funded and commanded and controlled by Iran, the IRGC, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. In at least 3 cases, the TEA found local policy violations in how materials were selected or approved. Anti-Semitic bullying cases at Plano West and other campuses, students sending a swastika and the message, "Your country is dying, P-word, go save it," yelling slurs like fat Jew, effing Jew, full word, telling a Jewish student, "I genuinely hope you die in Israel." In another incident, a Jewish student reported hearing "Free Palestine, F Israel" chanted in school. And let me tell you this. If you look at the incidents of hate crimes, they are much, much higher among Jews than they are Islamic people. But the Islamic people and the liberals will have you believe that it is the Islamic people that are mostly the victims of hate crimes, and they are not. It is the Jews. And the proportionality of Jews and Islamic people in this country is about the same. But yet Jews are much higher of a victims of hate crime than are Muslims. And that's even before October 7th. And that's what makes me really mad. I don't get this. You wholesale slaughter 1,200 people, rape them, violate them, murder, including murdering 46 American Jews, kidnap them, rape them, violate them, and yet the response after that is to hate Jews? Let that show you how evil these evil satanic people are. Terrorists. The TEA opened investigations, notified parents, stay away agreements, adjusted schedules. They found in one case, one guy got an in-school suspension for harassment due to the victim's religion. That's a BFD, harassing somebody because of their religion. There was an agricultural barn incident. An assistant principal was retrained over. They yelled "Free, free Palestine" at Plano East, but they're missing the part that I saw in the news. They said "from the river to the sea." They had tests scheduled on Rosh Hashanah and choir concert for Yom Kippur, which are high holy days for Jews. Now, Plano ISD could only be found in violation of Title 9 if the district intentionally discriminated against Jewish people or responded to anti-Semitic harassment with deliberate indifference. We'll talk to the parents about whether they agree that they responded appropriately. They also note, the TEA notes in this report on anti-Semitism in Plano ISD, October 7th, Hamas attack on Israel. Plano ISD revised its student code of conduct and employee handbook, updated instructional, discussion materials, curriculum, and anti-Semitic or divisive clothing was removed. Can you imagine how much sick stuff was on people's clothes, especially when you're in an area where you got epic mosque? One Plano parent, and this is what the last part that I want you to hear. One Plano parent has tracked incidents across multiple campuses, wrote that the report read like a document written to defend the district from the TEA, not to protect students, pointing in particular to a case in which a Shepton High School student was allowed to skip class rather than sit through the lessons on the Arab-Israeli conflict while the lesson itself remained in place. Benji Gershon, who's one of the folks involved in this, that I'm chatting with, who will come on eventually, he views this as, quote, removing Jewish kids from the room instead of confronting the biased content or classroom dynamics. Remove the Jew from the room so we can continue teaching anti-Semitism. When do we hear about separating Jews? The last time I can think about that was Holocaust. Now, speaking of Islam, I have a little picture to share with you. Dr. Mary Bone, who is a candidate for school board, put this out on Facebook today. I'll read the post and I'll show you what she put up. In Round Rock ISD, my wife and I got our first car together. In 1998, living in Austin, Texas, our first car was purchased from a Round Rock dealership. And now let's go to Round Rock ISD. Round Rock ISD library stocked the Quran while banning the Holy Bible. And there it is, the proof showing you how the Bible is out, but the Quran is in. This from Dr. Mary Bone. Round Rock ISD high school libraries are stocking the Quran while the Holy Bible has been removed. According to the district's own online library catalog, the Bible is no longer available at Round Rock High School and Cedar Ridge High School, replaced by the Quran, while it remains at least 2 out of 5 traditional high schools. You can get the Quran, but you can't get the Bible. Are you surprised? I'm not. This is the same Texas district that refused to put up the Ten Commandment posters in classrooms and arrested 2 Christian fathers for simply speaking out at a public school board meeting. They lost that case, though, as you know. The U.S. Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. I think they're going to hear the full case coming up in the near future, but they ruled for now that the Ten Commandments must go up. Period. So Round Rock ISD can now put the Ten Commandments back up, and I say amen to that. A private school in Dallas, Alcuin School, is also being sued by Jewish students' family, alleging the private school failed to adequately address and deter hatred against Jews, the Jewish religion, and anti-Israel xenophobia. So they're suing for $10 million. Students face incidents on campus after October 7th terror attacks. Parents waited in carpool at the school's Churchill Way campus. A group of Alcuin facility and administrators began ripping down the hostage posters in front of parents and students, depicting hostages from the attack. This is crazy. At the Spring 2024 International Festival, a parent wearing a shirt that read "Bring them home," as in the hostages, was approached by administrators and told to remove it or leave, and advised the parent that she was making people uncomfortable. What would make you uncomfortable about asking hostages to be brought home and have their pictures on your shirt? The person advised the parent that she was making people uncomfortable, and the suit claims the parent was later threatened by Alcuin private school. In one class, quote, Kahoot activity, whatever that means, one group chose to project a team name that included a skull and crossbones, an emoji, and the words "to Israel," as in death to Israel. So, anyways, they're getting sued there too. Let's go back to Fort Worth ISD. Shall we? Fort Worth ISD, according to the Star Telegram today, might close academy that serves immigrants. You mean illegals? Fort Worth School District's Board of Managers, who have taken over the school district from the state, will vote on whether to choose International Newcomers Academy. Newcomers, as in illegals. A 6th through 9th grade school that offers specialized academic instruction for refugees and immigrants. Illegals. And this mother talked about how great the program is through a translator. Mother doesn't speak into English. Kid doesn't speak into English. Hard pass. How do you ensure that newcomers will succeed? Says a Fort Worth resident who testified. Newcomers? You mean illegals? You come into our country and we're supposed to cater to you? No. Assimilate. Speaking of illegals, this is Governor Abbott yesterday. Watch this on Houston police. Also, Dallas police are being threatened because Ms. Wokula, a.k.a. Karen Beiser-Tolbert, the city manager of Dallas, signed an agreement that saying they would follow the Texas laws about working with ICE, cooperating with getting illegals out of here when you cuff and stuff them as police officers. Dallas is losing, like, I think $55 million. Or am I confusing it with Houston? No, $55 million. They might lose another $35 million, something like that. And so they're being threatened right now, which is good. The Dallas Police Association, as I told you yesterday, I've totally written them off. The guy that's in charge, Sergeant Peace, I think it is, the guy is totally like, we're not working with ICE. We don't work with ICE. We're not immigration. You don't have to be immigration, dude. You arrest people. You find out they're an illegal. You hand them over. This is not hard. Unless you want illegals to be arrested, set free on bond, and go back and do more crime. You know that. The Dallas Police Association has become a leftist political organization. The Fort Worth Police Officers Association, FWPA, is great. They've always been great. No complaints to them. Dallas Police Association. Houston City Council, though, was just threatened. Here's Governor Abbott.
The city of Houston right now is in breach of that contract with the state of Texas because of their new sanctuary city policies that's going to require them to send to the state of Texas $110 million. As President Trump sometimes says, they have no cards. We have all the cards in this, and they are going to lose, and they're not going to be able to balance their budget. And let me add this one last clarifying point. Some people make an argument, well, Governor, what you're doing is defunding the police. That's not the case, because the law prohibiting them from defunding the police remains in place. They're going to be short $110 million. They got to find the money elsewhere in their budget to make sure they are fully funding law enforcement in their community. Otherwise, they'll be in violation of another law.
Houston Mayor Jim Whitmire, last time I was filling in on the big talk station in Houston, he and the city council were going nuts about this, saying, we got to stop helping the ICE. Their policy at the time was we hold illegals when we interact with them and encounter them in our job as police officers, just like in Dallas. And their policy was, rightfully so, we'll hold them for 30 minutes. We'll notify ICE and hold them for 30 minutes. What happened was a couple of these cops over the past year had also, like I said, can you drop them off at the police station? We'll pick them up a little bit later. Or can you drop them off over by our ICE office? And that got the leftists who run Houston PO'd. And then, of course, the virtue signaling, guilty white liberal, white mayor, Houston Mayor John Whitmire said, he's like doing the whole, and so he was pushed by the city council members, and he obeyed dutifully and changed the policy, which then was in violation of Texas law on cooperation with ICE for our police officers. And now Houston stands to lose, as you know, 100 million, 110 million, depending on who you ask. But just today, Houston walks back their ICE ordinance, votes to amend a policy under state pressure. Houston City Council voted 13-4 to approve Mayor Whitmire's amended immigration ordinance. However, it still might not be enough. On Fox News, Will Cain show, Abbott said Houston PD has not agreed to fully comply, has not agreed to fully comply, and its state contract, warning the department could still cost Houston $110 million if it doesn't detain illegals it encounters and notify immigration officials. Same for you, Dallas, and for you, SAPD, and you, APD. Oh my gosh, that's got to be a cesspool in Austin. Let's talk about leftist mayors in DFW. Arlington Mayor Jim Ross, the Dallas Express reports today, faces challenges. His early voting continues. And my prayer is this guy gets knocked out of the box. If you ever saw him, the Dallas Express had this report from, let's see what this one is. Yeah. He was berating to me it was a violent beration, if that's a word, beration. He was berating, in my opinion, violently berating a Christian street preacher in 2018 in New Orleans because the preacher was speaking out against homosexuality. And the mayor was like screaming, violently screaming, like yelling and like spitting on the guys he's talking, not intentionally spitting, he was just so foaming at the mouth, mad for a radical LGBTQ guy. This guy needs to be thrown out. Also, the Dallas Express reporting, because there's other people running against the mayor, Steve Cavender and another guy, Hunter Crow, and another guy, I don't know the other guy's name, Sean Mallory. I don't know them. But I'll tell you this, anything's better than this guy. The IRS, Dallas Express reports, garnished his wages, Mayor Jim Ross, to collect more than $174,000 in federal unpaid taxes. Wow. And also screaming and yelling in that Christian street preacher's face because he was speaking up about the sin of homosexuality. And Jim Ross can't handle that, so he screams violently in somebody's face. This guy's a loon, man, and he's a non-tax-paying loon. He also highlighted a recent campaign meet and greet hosted at Assad Qathari, which is focused on engaging in Arlington's Muslim community. Mayor Ross says it showcases the rich diversity that makes Arlington so special. So he humps the legs of Muslims. He humps the legs of LGBTQ. He doesn't pay his taxes. And he wants your vote. So my vote is to oust Jim Ross, but I don't live in Arlington. It's your choice if you do. With the influence of radical Islam steadily invading Texas, North Texas, I will never lend my support to any elected official who panders to Islamists for political gain, says the great State Board of Education member Brandon Hall, District 11. He's good. I got to have him on my podcast. Texas Railroad Commissioner candidate Beau French also criticized Ross. Islam is here to destroy our way of life and is not compatible with our Constitution, Beau French told the Dallas Express. So choose wisely. We've got some fun now. Have you ever... This is absolutely hysterical. Oh, wait. I got Jerry Jones almost falling off a stage because he was so excited about Bill Clinton visiting him. Bill was there to check out the cheerleaders for the Dallas Cowboys. But first, a conductor is conducting so vigorously. A lady is up front in the orchestra. I love classical music, by the way. I don't know anything about it, but I love it. I listen to it every day when I'm doing all my reading for the show. This lady is jamming on a $1.3 million violin at the front of the orchestra, and the conductor bangs her violin and it crashes on the ground in the middle of the performance. Let me share it with you first. New from journalist Colin Rugg before I play the video. Conductor accidentally knocks a violin worth over $1.3 million out of a soloist's hands with his baton during a concert. Matthew Halls was conducting the Bruch violin concerto in Lahti's Sibelius Hall in Finland. Alina Valhalla, a soloist, was playing a formerly rare, 18th century Guadagnini violin worth over £1 million. It must be a ninja. I must be a ninja, she said, following the incident while talking about how she minimized the impact with her foot. Miraculously, the violin got no crack. Here, let me play the video for you. This is wild. Here we go. Oh, bleep! Hori, beep! Oh, let's go back a second. I can't have it's too funny. Hold on. Whoa! Oh, there goes $1.3 million. One more time. Sorry, I just have to. This is so great. Wait, let's go back to where she gets it with the foot. Look at her foot now. She says she caught it with her foot to minimize the damage. Yeah, it looks like it bounced off the foot. Okay, sorry. Woo! What a ride! Oh, Marco says, yes, you go out with a bang. There's more. I got more. This is good. Save the fun stuff for the end always, Try to have fun throughout the show. But miraculously, the violin got no cracks, no scratches even. The glue between the top and the ribs gave in as it's supposed to do in order to protect the top and the back from cracking during humidity changes. Who knew? Or as we discovered it from an impact, the guardian angel of old Italian instruments was present. Okay, Amazon is working to expand its drone service in DFW. My son, without my knowledge, got an Amazon drone delivery to our house. I am so against these things. I don't want things flying around my house. I don't want them crashing or hitting me or my car or I don't know what, man. I don't trust it. But we have a part of our property where it's perfect for it to come in, and it did, and it dropped it right there. And I didn't know about it until afterwards. I wasn't pissed, but I just can't stand the drones. I say no. Let me give you an example. Waymo, in those riderless vehicles in San Francisco, when there was a big power outage there, if you recall, I don't know, it was a year or two ago, and the Waymo vehicles were trashing everything. It was stuck. It was a horrible situation. Number two, during the terrorist case in Austin of the radical Islamist who was a naturalized citizen, one of many who should never have been naturalized, who murdered 3 people at a bar in downtown Austin, 6th Street. A Waymo vehicle was literally blocking the way from the ambulance and police from getting in. And I mean, this is just. Oh, and in San Antonio, I read this one when I was filling in the other day over there. There was Waymo vehicles they go inside of a school zone, right where they drop off the kids, and they go the opposite direction, and they don't stop for kids. So you literally have parents coming this way with their vehicles, stopping, dropping off the kids, like right in front of the school. And you have Waymo going the wrong way and not stopping and almost hitting kids. No, hell to the no. You know what else? I played you one night a video, total viral video. It was somewhere in Texas of a Cybertruck. And the guy who had it on autopilot, or whatever it is, auto drive, whatever. And it was getting off. You know how our flyaways are so high up in the air? It scares the crap out of me even sometimes still. Like, you can't look where you're like, oh, I cannot believe how high we are up in the air. So he was getting off on one of these flyaways from the highway. And one of the huge overhead lights, over the highway, he's going like this. It separates, like, highways this way. He's going this way. And there's a big light here bolted in, most of it sticking off the side of the thing. And the thing goes straight towards the light, and it slams into it. It was this close. Those cars a Cybertruck weighs like probably 3 times, like 6,000 pounds, maybe 8,000 pounds. Regular cars are about a deuce, That thing almost went off the side of the road. Hell no is what I say. Hell to the no. All right? No way. Oh, and you just saw a guy that was in our local news the other day, viral. His car, I think it was a Cybertruck too, and he showed it, and he was on the news. I think it was on Channel 8 or something. His Cybertruck was coming up, and the mugger mover, the jail rail, Dart, it was TRE or Dart, I can't remember which one, was coming over this way, and as it was approaching, the rails were coming down, and the Cybertruck, instead of stopping, and he was stopping on his own, he was manual, the Cybertruck panicked and took over from him and flew underneath the rail. I think it either hit the rail or the rail was closing. It was like somebody you would see doing. You're like, oh my gosh, you're an idiot. You're about to die. He didn't do it. He was pressing the brake. The Cybertruck took over, floored it, went under right, and you can see literally the train passed right after he went under. And I'm going to tell you something else. He said he's a combat veteran. He said he was more scared with that than he was in combat. He said, I'd rather be in combat than that situation. Hell no to these things. All right. This is my favorite headline. I have no video for you on this one. I've got more video that's funny, but listen. This is my favorite headline of the day. I could change my mind on the next headline, but this is my favorite one for now. Dallas Wings. A team that nobody knows about in Dallas. Nobody watches. They think when you go, hey, are you going to go to the Dallas Wings? Oh, is there a new wing stop by us? I like wings. What do you want to get? Buffalo Hot Wings? No. There's a WNBA team. A W what? Dallas Wings game. This is Channel 8. They're super woke. Leftists. Channel 8. Dallas Wings game. They do PSAs for the left all the time. BLM, all that stuff. LGBT. Dallas Wings games will air for free over the air on KFAA in 2026. Here's everything you need to know. We don't need to know anything because we're not going to watch it. Of course it's free. Free? Are you kidding me? So I put on my tweet, free equals nobody watches. Get out of here. Oh, it's free. Oh. Here we go. Bill Clinton. I got 2 videos of Bill Clinton with Jerry Jones in the draft today. One, the news did not show this one. They described it, but they didn't show it. But this one I got for you. Jerry is so excited that Bill Clinton, and by the way, I love how they act like they're surprised that Bill Clinton was there, as if they didn't know the freaking former president was coming. So here we go. Jerry's going to almost fall flat on his face. It's pretty scary there. He literally almost fell straight over. And that guy at that age, man, you get a fall at that age, starts all downhill from there. And Bill Clinton's watching on. But again, in the second video I'm going to show you is the people that were doing the pre-draft press conference for the Cowboys. And they act like, oh, what's this? They all knew that Bill Clinton was coming. They're bad actors. It's stupid to pretend.
Good. That's good balance right there. That's good. My draft, he moved up in the draft today. His draft rig got better.
All right, we'll go back again just to see that replay. I don't know which one's more compelling, which one's more powerful, guys. The violin getting knocked off or Jerry Jones almost falling flat in his face.
Good.
Let's go back one more time real quickly. It goes so fast.
Good. That's good balance right there. That's good. My draft, he moved up in the draft today. His draft rig got better.
Contact out.
Bill Clinton's mouth's open. He can't close it. Where are the cheerleaders? When I was in my first full-time talk show in 2000 to 2001, before I went on to Madison, I was in Jefferson City, Missouri, and there was a girl named Mandy that called all the time. And Bill Clinton, was still in the news and stuff. And I called her, man, I can't do it. I'll try. Yeah, mandate Mandy. Mandate Mandy with my Bill Clinton. Yeah. Anyway, so let's go to where they pretend and act surprised that Bill Clinton's there when they all knew he was coming, and this is why they should have just said he's coming in the first place.
I am. Look at this right here. Come in this house. Yes, sir, Mr.
Hey, where are the cheerleaders? I can't close my mouth.
President.
I'm negotiating a draft.
I'm negotiating something in my pants.
There you go. Go ahead.
I got it. All right.
I've always wanted to be whatever.
Good.
That's good balance right there.
You can see that Secret Service guy in the back. He's right over the left of Bill Clinton's Bill Clinton's left side there above his shoulder. That guy there, Hispanic-looking guy, olive-colored guy with the beard and stuff. He's Secret Service. He's got the pin on there, and he could see him go, whoa.
I got it. All right.
I've always wanted to be whatever.
Good.
That's good balance right there. My draft, he moved up in the draft today. His draft rig got better.
Good.
He's got contact balance.
Back with you. Yeah, he's here somewhere.
He's here somewhere, but let me tell you something. As a way of, this guy was recently named the second most American to have started with very little and have accomplished a lot. Look at it, it's in Forbes. There's a great story about him in Forbes. But he's been a wonderful, not only president, but a friend over the years, and really happy to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm glad to see you. Have a good draft day.
This group.
Hey, can somebody take my wife? She's nasty. Unverified poisoning claim. This is actually really good news if it's true. Open source intel, which is a great account I follow, along with folks, what do you call it? The X, aka Twitter, will have headlines. And this is what we're getting a lot of posts out of tonight, including an account that is very reputable. Reports from Iran, over 100 Basij members were hospitalized in Tehran, after their food was poisoned by an unidentified individual. One Basij member, according to the report, died from severe poisoning. Do whatever it takes, man. I spent I spent about an hour on the phone with a former CIA guy who I'm going to have on in the near future, that did a lot of work in Iran, and it's fascinating, man. I am totally for what we've done, but we have not. There's no negotiating with them. There's no agreement with them. This is not a new administration. It's the same sick, satanic Islamist people that were there before that killed their own people. One of the interesting things the CIA officer, retired CIA officers I was talking to today said, and this is very true, you know it and I know it, our threshold for paying for our people, for our president, is very low. The gas prices, the jet, I think it was United or one of the other ones that just announced today. United or one of the other ones said they're going to be increasing their fares by 20% because of the prices, because it's still going up, and because of what's going on there. So the level of pain threshold for our country, for the people of this country under Trump, is much lower compared to Iran, because they kill their own people. They don't care if their people's pain threshold goes up to 9 out of 10, as long as they stay in power. That's all they care about. That's the problem we have. Speaking of which, but so no negotiations, and I like the blockade, and we need to keep it for another 4 to 6 weeks until the regime collapses. That's what we need to do. And Trump said it's not Trump and what's her name? Spokesperson, what's her name? I can't remember her name now. Caroline Levitt. She said, she was asked by Martha McCallum on Fox News this afternoon, well, didn't they violate the ceasefire because they shot on an Indian tanker and they took 2 tankers hostage and brought them in and they shot on them? She goes, no, that wasn't, they didn't violate the ceasefire because they didn't shoot at us. And I'm like, that's total BS. That's total BS. The gymnastics are BS. They violated the ceasefire. Finish the job is what I have to say. But the Iranian Navy seized a cargo ship and a container ship, forcing them ashore for inspection. They fired shots on 3 other vessels in various parts of the Strait of Hormuz. So that's what we have for that. And this is from Nicole Yessi letter, who I follow on X. Iran's IRCG issues a warning suggesting it could cut, listen to this, it could cut undersea internet cables and cloud infrastructure in the Persian Gulf. You want an all-out war in the Persian Gulf? You do that. Same threat you get from Putin or others with the cables that go from North America over to Europe. Watch out. Good news on California's pathetic, stupid law that tried to make ICE officers wear badges and name tags and all sorts of uniform stuff. States can never tell the federal government what to do. States can never tell federal officers what to do. It's called the Supremacy Clause. So this comes from the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. No shocker, but great news. Ninth is one of the most liberal dockets in the country. In San Francisco, the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals issued an injunction blocking enforcement of California's new law that requires ICE agents to unmask and wear visible ID. What a joke. Arguing it violates the Supremacy Clause because it attempts to directly regulate the U.S. in its performance of governmental functions. Kiss our butts, California. They are enjoined from enforcing the law. Big win for Trump, says Bill Malugin from Fox News. Now comes Assistant U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley, who's awesome from L.A. Huge legal victory this morning, he says, in the Ninth Circuit, where the court permanently enjoined California's unconstitutional mask law, saying you can't wear a mask. Yeah, right. Targeting federal agents. Quote, we conclude that Section 10 of the No Vigilantes Act, attempts to directly regulate the U.S. in its performance of governmental functions. The Supremacy Clause forbids the state, and they knew this. They all knew this. This is a ruse. The Supremacy Clause forbids the state from enforcing such legislation. The U.S. is therefore likely to succeed in the merits of its Supremacy Clause claim, and the other preliminary injunction factors also weigh in its favors. Thus, we grant the motion for an injunction pending appeal. Meanwhile, another case, a court in Virginia has just blocked a couple hours ago the state of Virginia from carrying out the certification of the results from Tuesday's congressional map referendum as unlawful. I can't believe that it passed. It only passed, I think, by 51 or 55%. I can't believe it passed. This is an all-out rip-the-face mask off. And just Virginia, as you know, was 6 Democrats and 5 Republicans, and now they're going to make it 10 Democrats and 1 Republican. It's completely a disgrace. However, I'm hearing there's about a 55% chance as a guesstimation, for what it's worth, from Laura Ingraham, who's an attorney. Her guess is that there's a 55% chance the Supreme Court of the state of Virginia the Commonwealth of Virginia, will rule in favor of the Democrats. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But they the Virginia judge just blocked the state from certifying the results from Tuesday's congressional map referendum as unlawful. Judge Jack Hurley ruled Democrats did not follow the correct procedure for a constitutional amendment. They spent, I think, 80-something million to get that pushed through. Here's a shocker. The moment I heard the story yesterday, I knew this is what it was. Shock. Two Americans that were killed in Mexico in that crash with going after the narcos and the super lab with meth in Mexico. Two of them are CIA officers. Shocker. I was talking to the CIA guy that is an expert on Iran and Iraq. He was in the mud with those two in the CIA when 9/11 happened. By the way, when I have him on, it'll be fascinating. But 2 Americans killed in Mexico crash were CIA officers. I'm not shocked. I'd say I'm shocked. No, I knew they were CIA. Of course they were. And I'm sad they're dead. And the work there is good. Claudia Sheinbaum is a joke, and Trump rightfully called her out today and says you should be thanking our country and our officers for their dedication. But as far as she's concerned, the narcos can stay. We're forcing her hand. But she and her administration is a very socialist, Marxist group. They have been the biggest supplier, one of the biggest suppliers besides Venezuela until now, of oil to Cuba. They are one of the biggest aid senders to Cuba. They are totally socialist, and she is not a friend of ours, in my humble opinion. Here we go. Oh, I mentioned it. United Airlines, I was right, says it'll raise summer fares as much as 20% as fuel prices surge amid the Iran war. That's why they're hurrying up. Trump's hurrying up, and I'm telling you. And I'm going to tell you this. There's, for the midterms, there's a couple things. There's 2 things. I think we're totally screwed for the midterms, especially with the Virginia thing if it goes through. But what do I know? But I think we're screwed for the midterms. However, one of the things that I did hear and read today is that the Democrats are if you do look at the polling on people in this country and their favorability of the Democrats versus the Republicans, the Democrats fare much worse still to this very moment consistently. That's a good thing. Do not underestimate that. Number 2, this overplaying the hand in Virginia also can go in the Republicans' favor, and they can play to look at all the radical positions, look at what they did here, look at what they did there, and play on the unlikability of the Democrats. And why? Because they're so radical, anti-Israel, anti-police, anti-ICE, anti-law enforcement, you name it. So there it is. I'm trying to end on something funny. I'll play this for you. This is kind of cool. Speaking of Iran, this chick, she took quotations from, I think, Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris and read them to liberals, but told them it was from Trump. Again, she took quotations from Hillary and Kamala on Iran. And then she read them to these liberals on the street, telling them it was Trump that said it, and getting their reaction, and then told them it, in fact, wasn't Trump, it was Kamala and Clinton. Watch their reactions.
Iran is a destabilizing, dangerous force in the Middle East. Do you agree with him on that at least?
No.
We would be able to totally obliterate them. That's a terrible thing to say, but those people who run Iran need to understand that. And what do you think he meant by saying those people?
White supremacy.
His subhuman people of color.
He's becoming very delusional and honestly showing a little bit of signs of dementia.
This is something someone with dementia would say.
Absolutely.
But it's not him. It's like Hillary and what's her name? Kamala.
Had Kamala actually won the election, do you think we would even be in this?
Absolutely not.
And they were not falling for this Iran stuff either.
No.
If Hillary Clinton had just won in the first place, maybe we wouldn't be in this mess.
Yeah, I would go with that.
If he had a kind soul, I think anyone can be beautiful, but he is not beautiful. No. He's not beautiful inside or out. He's a horrible person.
Did you vote for Hillary Clinton?
Yes.
Did you guys vote for Hillary Clinton?
Yeah.
We would not be in this position if she were president today.
Or Kamala.
The man truly is insane.
Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris said all of that, not Donald Trump.
Really?
Yes.
That makes me very sad.
Are you serious or not?
Yes, they are.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That's a gotcha. Good for you.
You've never heard them say this stuff?
No, I haven't.
That was a quote from 2008, right here.
To it. I don't, you know what? Who can believe what we read?
Did you go to the cops about me?
Yeah, I just wanted to see if you needed a permit.
You caught me. You caught me with the truth, and now I'm going to call the cops on you because you caught me. You busted me with truth.
I didn't mean to make you cry.
Crying, but
Okay.
it's shameful.
What's shameful about it? There's nothing.
That's the love that we get from the left. Such love. And sometimes I like to end on a really funny note, so we'll do this again. I play this from time to time. This is my favorite video, courtesy of Ted Cruz.
They, them, energy.
God is non-binary.
They, them, energy.
Our trans community needs abortion care too.
They, them, energy.
Something that you love.
I love the trans children who showed up yesterday at the state capitol.
They, them, energy.
Modern science obviously recognizes that there are many more than two biological sexes. In fact, there are 6.
They, them, energy. They, them, energy. They, them, energy.
Oh, that was fun. Thank you, Ted Cruz, for that one. This show's been brought to you by IRSprob.com, IRSPROB.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Tell them Chris Crock sent you.